Welcome to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am thrilled to have you join me on this transformative journey. You see, every day we dive into a powerful conversation about self-discovery, healing, and empowerment. This podcast is brought to you by advice.Nyomi and Elevate Me Self-Discovery, where we believe that loving yourself is the first step to living a fulfilling life. You can expect insightful discussions, practical tips, and inspiring stories. Plus, we'll occasionally welcome special guests who will share their unique perspectives on self-love and personal growth. So get comfy, grab your favorite beverage, and let's embark on this journey together. Because it's time to embrace the beautiful person that you are. So let's elevate our lives one episode at a time. Well, hello, my beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I'm your host, Nyomi Banks, and today we are diving into a profoundly beautiful aspect of our lives, and that's aging. Joining us is an incredible guest, Corinne Alma. She is a pioneer in rethinking aging, the founder of Choice Care Navigators, and the author of Keenagers. But before we bring her to the stage, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to get deep into finding out what these Keenagers is, right? It's your girl, Nyomi Banks, here on this Season of Self-Love podcast, and we'll be right back.
Exciting news, everyone! Nyomi Banks, your favorite transitional life and relationship coach and the inspiring host of the Season of Self-Love podcast, has just released another incredible resource for your personal growth journey, introducing her latest transformational ebook and workbook, Balancing Act, a guide to harmonizing your life. This 50-page guide is designed to help you navigate the complexities of life, bringing balance and harmony into your everyday experience. Perfectly paired with our amazing new series for this month, The Act of Balancing Life. This workbook is packed with practical exercises, insightful prompts, and valuable tools to empower you on your path to self-discovery and fulfillment. Don't miss out on this opportunity to invest in yourself and enhance your journey toward a balanced life. Balancing Act is available now. Grab your copy today and step into a world of harmony and self-love.
Are you ready to embark on a journey toward harmony and balance? Join us for our exciting new challenge, the 21 Days Living Balance Challenge on the Season of Self-Love podcast, as part of our monthly series, The Act of Balancing Life. This challenge will guide you through daily practices designed to help you harmonize your mind, body, and spirit. Whether you're juggling work, relationships, or self-care, we're here to support you every step of the way. Don't wait, sign up now to take part in this transformative experience starting October 1st. Together, we'll build a community of balance, seekers ready to embrace joy and self-discovery. Visit our website or click the link in our bio to join the challenge today. Let's find our balance together.
What are some common barriers that prevent people from expressing? Hey, it's your girl, Nyomi Banks here from the Season of Self-Love podcast.
Yeah, I would say remorse. So shame and guilt is a very dividing emotional.
And these are one of the many amazing conversations that we have every day, Monday through Friday, right here on the Season of Self-Love podcast with myself, Nyomi Banks, as well as our resident therapist, Dr. Will Washington of Washington Wellness Institute. Come by.
The reality of our relationships with people.
Come by.
And a lot of times we're afraid of how people look at us. And so that compassion can't enter.
You can hit us on the website,
really
the Season of Self-Love podcast.com. Let me ask you this, with the truth, is it... All right, well, welcome back to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I'm your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am so happy to have Miss Corinne Alma here. Hi, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes. So, Corinne, before we get deep into our topic and talk about Keenager and all of this beautiful thing about aging, we're going to take a nice little quick break, a nice little guided meditation that I pre-arranged. Our listeners know what we're going to do, right? So if y'all just get comfortable right now as we go into this moment of silence. Please find a comfortable position and close your eyes. Now I want you to take a deep breath into your nose, slowly, and let out through your mouth. want you to take another deep breath in through your nose. And as you taking that inhale, I want you to count to 4 in your head. And then I want you to hold at the top. And hold it for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now exhale through your mouth. Now I want you to continue that pattern. And as you continue that breath of breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, I want you to imagine a warm and embracing light that symbolizes acceptance and love. That symbolizes acceptance and love for each phase of your life. Now with each inhale, I want you to welcome the wisdom of aging. And with each exhale, I want you to release any fears of getting older. Now I want you to keep this sense of empowerment as we explore today's topic, all right? You can now open your eyes when you are ready. All right, well, thank you, Corinne, for just sharing that moment with me, as well as you listeners out there. And if you're new here to the Season of Self-Love podcast, it's something that we do every day, Monday through Friday. Before we get into the topic at hand, we ground ourselves because I'm ready for this aging topic. So, Corinne, again, it is so wonderful to have you here with us today. Can you share with us what led you into this field of aging? And what was your inspiration behind your book, Keenagers? I hope I'm saying it right. Keenagers.
Yeah, like with a K. I always have to tell people, because if you just hear the title, you think it's a T, and it's not.
Yeah.
So I got interested in working with older adults, which is what I've spent my entire career doing. When I think a lot of people who are in this field, we all become interested in it because we loved our grandparents. We had amazing relationships with them. Or we had an amazing relationship with some older person that made us realize, hey, these people have a lot to offer and they're really cool. And we should, be appreciating them and having relationships with them, learning from them. So that's how I got into my career working with older adults. How the book came about is a slightly different story. Over the course of all these years of working with older adults, one of the things that I've really seen that makes a huge difference in how you age is how you feel or how you approach your own aging. Mm-hmm. So in my work as a care manager, I'm working with all kinds of people. They're going through all kinds of crises, with their loved ones, those kinds of things. And what I see is this pattern of families where if the older person has approached their aging in a positive way, they've planned, they've thought about it, they've talked to their family members about, here's what I want, here's what I don't want. They tend to age really well. They tend to be healthier. They tend to live longer. They have better relationships. There's all these positive outcomes versus the people who really have a very negative outlook about their aging. That's more of our stereotypical kind of, what the stereotype we have about older people, that they're cranky and that they're slow and that they're all these things, but they're really not. It's just that we control a lot of our own aging by just how we think about it.
Yeah.
And when you have that really negative outlook, you tend to not plan, not talk to your loved ones. You try to kind of bury your head in the sand and pretend this is not happening, right? Aging is just something that other people do, not me. Mm-hmm. And that really can lead to some pretty terrible outcomes as you grow older because you haven't faced what is a reality for all of us. And so my goal with the book is to tell some stories about some really amazing older adults, and then also help everyone think about, how do I want to approach my own aging? How do I want to plan for it? And to feel like you have some control,
yeah,
you really do, about how this is going to go.
Yeah. You know, when I read your message to me and I went over there and looked at your profile and I said, oh my God, this is so fitting for me. And let me tell you why. Because I was one of those ones in the beginning that, and this started young. This started when I used to always say that I'm forever 21.
Mm-hmm.
I used to say that. I said that all the way till I was 40. So that was my thing. I am forever 21. And I spent majority of my adult life in front of the camera. But, in front of the camera. So I had to appear to be younger than what I am. So I had to get a fake ID and have myself 10 years younger than what I was.
Wow.
So I talked to producers and directors and agents. I was always 10 years younger than what I was. The blessing is that I actually looked 10 years younger than what I was. So now that I believe it was 42 or 43. Now I'm seeing myself picking up weight. I'm no longer in front of the camera like I used to, but this is when the realization of, oh, you're not 21.
Yep.
Like that metabolism is not happening like it used to happen. And I remember coming to the realization then it's like, okay, you have to embrace all of this. Because one, it's a blessing that you're still here at this age.
That's right.
But also you don't look like what people would think you would look like, period. So you yourself have your own story to share and embrace your age. So from the time I was 42, 43 years old to now at 52, I embrace it all. So I kind of pin myself vintage beauty. Yeah, vintage beauty. I pin myself that is because I think is a blessing to have gotten, older, especially in my career, and don't look like anything that I think I should be looking like. You know what I'm saying? Like the stress and the worries on what other people might think, and just embracing the, everything that old people have to go to. Now I'm going through premenopause. Now that's another step.
Yeah.
That's another step. So my thing is I'm going to get Keenagers because I want to know if you speak about that.
Well, I don't speak specifically about perimenopause. I'm right there with you, but I did not speak specifically about that in the book. Maybe that's book 2.
Beautiful. Because and I heard you say like this amazing stories that you have here in Keenagers. Like for me, I started off in 40 preparing for that. So when you said that about preparing for, that means I knew exactly what that felt like. I knew where I started from at 30 years old, saying that I'm forever 21, to when I got to 40, it was like, okay, now I need to embrace all of this and I need to live my life for who I am and not who they think 40 or 50 or 60-year-old person looks like or how they're supposed to act or feel like, like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think there's a couple of things in what you said. Number one, we all kind of have that moment where we go, oh crap, right? Like this, and it might be like when you get your first gray hair, or when you notice your first wrinkles, or like whatever it is. For me, it was like when I noticed like my skin on my neck starting to change, and I was like, that can't be happening, right? Like I'm way too young for that. And so I think we all have that moment where we either can kind of start to accept, or we can say, I'm just going to pretend like that's not happening right now. But there is such power in accepting it and embracing it rather than denying it. The denying it, I think, can really cause a lot of self-harm instead of self-love, because and a lot of people are making a lot of money off of that denial, right? With all the things you'll pay for to try to deny it. The other thing you said that I always think is so interesting is, that you didn't look like what you thought someone would look like at 40, 42, 50. And my daughter said this to me on my last birthday. I was 49. I am 49. And she said, oh, Mom, you don't look like a 49-year-old. And I kind of stopped her because of, my industry and everything. I said, well, what does a 49-year-old look like? I said, I think I do look like a 49-year-old. I think that you have a stereotype, a belief system in your head about what that 49-year-old is going to look like. And you don't think it's me. I was like, but it is me.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not, I'm not that unusual. It's that we just have these kind of stereotypes in our mind that we're scared of what what aging and older adulthood's going to look like. And so we run away from it. But really, no, I'm 49 and I look 49, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. And that's why I say what they think I should look like.
That's right.
Yeah. And when I look back as a little girl, a teenager, and seeing my aunties and even my mother when they were 40 and 50 years old, they look good. They look like me. So I don't know. I think it is just, as you said, society will have you thinking that you're supposed to look with gray hair. And I want gray hair. I want salt and pepper hair. I want all of that. But the way that they set things up on what we should look like when we age. So at 70, 80 years old, it's funny. My mom was just talking yesterday, and she said, did you know people used to be on this earth for hundreds and hundreds of years before they died? And I said, really, Mom? She said, yes. She said, back in the day, people lived for 200, 300 years before, and she said, now people not even living past 50. I said, wow. So what does that tell you? That I'm not old?
That would reshape your thinking really quick.
Yeah.
The other, the way we get these visions in our head too, though, of what we think it's going to look like or what it should look like, society, culture is teaching that to us from a very young age. Just go look at some kids' storybooks and see how they portray older people. There's one of two ways. They're either like a loving grandparent, or it's a witch, or some kind of creepy old man.
Yeah.
And so those are the only visions that are out there. And there's way more of the witches and the creepy old men than there are of the loving grandparents in the storybooks. And so, we're being taught this. We're being kind of cooked in this soup of negativity about growing older, really from the time anyone's reading a storybook to us. So it makes sense that we feel this way about it because we're not taught to look forward to it. We're taught that it's a really bad / scary thing.
Right. So for you, what language would you be able to tell someone that, embrace the aging? That is a blessing. That's not a gift that you're still alive at 60, 70, 80 years old. Like, where do you feel in this moment in time that it's a curse?
Right. I think people, when you talk to older people, they generally will say that they feel younger than whatever their age is, as long as their health is good. It's when your health starts to deteriorate in some way. And we all have health problems. Health problems are not unique to older adulthood. We just pay more attention to it as we get older. And they do tend to have a few more, right? As the longer you live, the more likely you are to have chronic conditions. But at the same time, you do have a lot of control over those things, right? How well do you take care of yourself? Do you go to the doctor? Do you do those things? And again, one of the things we see in the research is that people who have a positive outlook on aging, they do take better care of themselves. They exercise, they go to the doctor. When they have a ache or a pain, they don't just assume that it's because they're getting older. They go find out, like, why is this hurting? Or at least they try to. And so, thinking about your approach to your own aging really matters in how well it's going to go. Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about your theme of your book. So you talk redefining ages between the age of 55 and 80. I'm coming up on that 55 in a few years. So what are some key ideas that you hope that readers can take away from this?
Sure. So the first thing is that we call everybody from like 55 or 60 plus, we call them older adults, right? And this is one of the reasons I started using the word Keenager instead, because when Social Security was first enacted in the 1930s, you got Social Security at 65. The average American male lived to 67. So retirement was really very short, right? That very short period of time. Now, if you're retiring at 65, you aren't looking at 2 years. You're looking at 2 or 3 decades ahead of you. So older adulthood itself has gotten much longer, and yet we still call them all older adults. So if you're 65, we're going to call you an older adult. And if you're 95, we call you an older adult. And it makes no sense. We need some new language, some positive language around older adulthood. If you just do a Google search for what can you call older adults, almost everything that comes up is negative. There's some fairly neutral, like older adults, mature adults, that sort of thing. The only thing that's really in any way positive is like elders, because that has some like respect to it. And it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous that it is so hard to find positive language to describe a time period in our life when many people are vibrant and healthy, and still, they may still be working, they may be volunteering, they may be traveling and living their best life, but they're doing things. They're not sitting on a rocking chair in their front porch, doing nothing, just waiting for it all to end, kind of thing. And so older adulthood has really changed, and it is time for our language around it to change as well.
Right. As you're speaking about the language, so let's talk about societal norms. Let's talk about that. And we know what that's ageism, especially when it comes to entertainment, in certain aspects of it. When you are a certain age, regardless if you look that way, especially for women.
Oh, yeah.
Especially for women, then you are old and no longer well. I even hear in conversations when it comes to male and women dating, that when you are older as a woman, that you are not worthy of dating in the pool when you're of a certain age. How do we change those stereotypical views that they have? Like, what are the strategies that we can combat with that to help with others, especially those that are 50, 55, or even going into that age, group, to where they're able to have the I guess you say the right language to be able to speak to someone to teach them that, if that makes sense.
Sure. I mean, I'm not a dating advice expert on how to come back when somebody's being ridiculous. I mean, because that's what it is. If you're just going to look at somebody's age and be like, oh, you can't be in the dating pool, that's just, you probably didn't want to date them anyway. Let's be honest. Right. But I think the biggest thing is checking our own ageism, right? Checking our own selves, like, because we are our own worst enemies, to kind of look in the mirror and be like, oh, I don't like that wrinkle or that gray hair, or, whatever it is. So checking ourselves and our own ageism. And then, when you hear other people saying things that are clearly ageist, pointing it out. And this can be really uncomfortable, but pointing it out to say, actually, there's a lot of research that says, if you have a positive outlook on growing older, you walk faster, you live longer, you're healthier, you're all these things. It's not all downhill. And, those points can be hard to convince somebody of in the moment. I mean, I've had people kind of come back at me and say, oh, aging sucks. You're just trying to put lipstick on a pig, kind of thing. And it's like, well, you can think that, right, but it's to your own detriment. Because if you think that, then you are going to not live as long, not be as healthy. You're not going to date amazing women because of the way you think. And that's really their problem, not yours. Yeah. So it's an inside job, this positive aging, positive approach. And then telling others and calling them out on it when you hear ageist statements. I mean, one of my favorite things to do is when somebody will say something to me like, you look great for your age. And I will come back at them and say, why can't you just say I look great? And it's really this kind of uncomfortable moment, but it's to make the point that my age has nothing to do with it.
Right.
Why do we even say that? Right? Like, just tell somebody they look great, give them a compliment, leave the age out of it.
Yeah. I guess even as we speak, I guess I'm truly thinking, like, how can we put such a negative thing on such a positive thing? Meaning,
right?
You're still, a person is still live on earth, just still living being, talking. Like, how can you,
I think we do it because the culture teaches it to us, and the culture teaches it to us because it is a multi-trillion-dollar anti-aging industry that makes a ton of money off you being afraid of your own aging.
That's just, and I guess that's my thing. That's what I'm trying to get my head wrapped around. I'm a person that wants to save the world. I want to save the world. Like, like my question was to you, is like, how can we change that conversation? And I was just using those two as an example, but how can we change the conversation? What kind of language, what book, what something that we can give out there, a course or something to say, hey,
well, start with my book.
Yes.
because that is the whole point. I mean, that really is the whole point of the book, is to say, we've got to tell a new story. We've got to reshape how we're thinking about this. It is to your benefit and to everyone around you's benefit to change that outlook.
Yeah. And when you say about changing the thought, it's the mindset. If you think you're sick, you're going to be sick. If you think you're old, you're going to be old. What is old? What is old? That's the thing. What is old?
That depends on who you ask. To my children, anyone over 35 is old, but when the thing I think you realize as you get older, and I hear this from a lot of my older adults that I'm around, is whatever age you are, you think that somebody old is at least 10 to 15 years older than you, and you, when you get to a certain age, you go, oh, well, this isn't at all what I thought it was going to be. And so now older is pushed on down the road. There is no old.
Yeah.
And we're all aging. We're going to be older at the end of this conversation than we were at the beginning. Yes. I mean, it's just, it's not something just old people do either.
Yeah. Question. And this is a fun question. It's a fun question for me.
Sure.
Who do you think have the biggest issue of aging? Men or women?
Oh, it's definitely women. I mean, and that's cultural, in the sense that, like you were talking about earlier, there's this sort of inappropriate and inaccurate view that women lose their value as they get older. And so it's much harder, right? You were talking about in your career feeling like you had to look 10 years younger. You had to, pretend to be 10 years younger than you actually were. Why is that? I mean, it's because we devalue women as they get older. And so there's, men get to be more distinguished as they grow older, and women don't get that benefit. So definitely, everybody faces ageism as they get older, but it's definitely harder for women because you get both ageism and sexism as the double punch.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about caregiver. I guess I am a caregiver at this moment with my mom. My mom was just diagnosed with dementia last year. And so and it's funny that we talk about this ageism and aging, all of this process for her, because now when she looks at herself in the mirror, she now sees someone that's much older than what she thinks she is. Does that make sense?
In her mind, she's younger because she's going back in time as the dementia progresses. Yeah.
Yes. And so this particular day, I was sitting in my room and she came in and she knocked on the door. She came in and I saw this stuff that was on her face. I'm like, what's going on with your face? My mom has put tape on her face. And I'm like, what are you doing? She was like, I'm just trying to get rid of my wrinkles. She was like, you don't see it? I'm like, Mom, you do not have any wrinkles. She said, but I'm looking older.
Mm-hmm. And I wish so much. And this is a personal struggle too. I mean, I'm growing up and living in this same cultural soup with everybody else. And I think that's part of the reason I'm on this journey too, because it's just crazy that, instead of, looking in the mirror and loving our face and loving ourselves, that we feel compelled to look in the mirror and think, well, man, if I just got a piece of tape and like put it right here and, like that it's funny, but it's also so sad. Because I bet you think she's beautiful.
Yes.
And you love everything about her. And yet she's looking at herself going, what could I do here or there, to improve this situation? It's like, I wish that was different for me and for everyone else.
Yeah. So the stories that you have in Keenagers,
mm-hmm.
what is one of the most inspiring story that you have in there?
Well, that's a very hard thing to pick. I will say there's one woman I interviewed. Her name is Dr. Althea Taylor Jones, and she was a college professor for a number of years, and then she retired. And she probably does more in retirement than most of us will ever do in our lives. She has gone on to be on all kinds of volunteer boards and, a leader at her church. And she joked, she said her husband says she's busier now than she was when she worked. She just doesn't bring home the paycheck anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But she's really done a lot of interesting, like, leadership positions, which I find really inspiring. She's part of the I'm in North Carolina, and so she's in the Tar Heel Senior Network, which is like an advocacy group that like goes to the state legislature and lobbies on behalf of older adults. Yeah, I mean, so she's really gotten involved and with legislative kinds of things. She was the president of Southern Gerontological Society for a year in her retirement. And I mean, I just laugh. I'm like, how do you have this much energy? And she's just kind of go all the time. And I think she's so inspirational, number one, because of how much, she's doing, but also because I just think if she's doing and contributing that much in her retirement, if we could harness that for the millions of older adults that we have, think about all the social good they could do, right? All the time and energy. And I'm not trying to make anybody like do stuff they don't want to do. It's not that at all. But so many times what I run into with clients or with their family members is they would like to be doing stuff. They would like to be volunteering, or maybe they'd like to go back to work part-time just to like socialize and be around people. Mm-hmm. And they can't find the opportunities to do it. There's nowhere for them that they feel comfortable volunteering, or they feel like people don't want them around because of the ageism and stuff like that. And I just think that's really sad, and that we're really missing out on a tremendous opportunity given the number of older adults that we have and that we're going to have in the future. And so I find her really inspiring, and it makes me think about how do we put things in place so that every person who wants to be doing stuff like that feels like they have the opportunity to do it.
Right. Yeah. That, as you were speaking, as you were saying this, that just came up in my mind is there a course that you do for that? Like, when I say that, because when a lot of people have fear of being validated or being approved by others.
Yeah.
And really, when you talk about getting older, or especially those that was in the baby boomer age, I'm Generation X, so that's not happening with me. But with them older, they're kind of more set in their ways. So it's like, how can, and I guess I'm probably asking something that's so just far-fetched, but how can you move the needle for them to say, it's okay. It's okay to be 75, 80 years old and no, it's not over. It's not over, that it can be just the beginning of something just so amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And it can be. And that is a big part of my point. So there are a lot of colleges and universities that are starting to offer these sort of rethinking retirement, continuing education kinds of things that help people kind of rethink what these years are going to be. One of my goals is to kind of start that kind of online coaching myself, to start having like sessions and but I haven't gotten there yet. I haven't had time to like set that up yet, but
maybe
I
think
there's a tremendous need,
yeah,
because
it is.
people do kind of get, I think we're sold the idea of retirement and that it's going to be your well-earned rest and your golden years. And it can be, but a lot of people after a year or two of unlimited free time kind of start to go, this has been great. Yeah. What can I do now to like give me some meaning or purpose, or just to fill my cup, right? Just to kind of make me want to get out of bed and that kind of thing. And it can be anything. It can be babysitting your grandchildren. It can be volunteering. It can be whatever it is. But just having unlimited free time isn't actually all that good for you, and isn't actually all that fun if that's all you've got, because then you kind of start to feel like you're not needed and not wanted. And that then leads to mental health issues. And it can also lead to, sitting on the couch a lot, watching a lot of TV, which isn't good for your health and all those things.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I used to see. Well, COVID kind of did a lot of that. I see those signs in my mom, because before she used to be really busy.
Mm-hmm.
Like really, really busy.
Mm-hmm.
When the world was shut down, I think a lot of things shut down within her and a lot of the older people as well. Because it's something that, of course we didn't see it, but of course they never would have thought in a million years that something like that would happen.
Sure.
And not knowing where it came from. So whatever their beliefs were, it's kind of went out the door. So it's like we've all been lied to for so many years. And now this is happening to us. So now what do we do? What's tomorrow's going to bring? Do I just hold on to my yesterdays and just sit here right here in the confinement of my room and my space? This is probably where I'm the most safest at, rather than go out that door.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's a big issue, particularly during COVID, but this continues with older adults in general, and us as loved ones too. Yeah. There's this balance between living and being safe, right? Yeah. If you're really safe, that can be terrific. But if your safety comes at the expense of living and having a joyful life, maybe safety isn't all it's cracked up to be. I mean, I see this a lot with in my care management practice, when we've got like adult children who want their parents to move into a facility, or to downsize out of a big house because it will be safer. And then the older adult who's saying, I don't want to be safe if it means I have to leave my friends that I live with in my neighborhood, or my church and my community, right? Mm-hmm. Like if safety means giving up my life, then in terms of the joy and the things that give me meaning and purpose, I don't want that. And that can be really hard for loved ones to hear. But I understand it in some ways, because what is life if you don't have the things in it that bring you joy?
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. No, I get it. It's just like, when I'm listening to you, it's things that I've already know, but it's just reminders to understand. Like my mom, we're from Chicago, but she's lived with me since my dad passed away. She's been with me for 14 years. 14 years since my dad passed away. And 15 years, but she's been with me for 14 years. And she was a go-getter, very driven, everything. And we used to live in California first. And I saw the change when she was, in the community with the church. She was traveling. She was doing things with the church, going to, Mexico and doing all of those things. And then when we moved here to Vegas, she was no longer around her friends.
Mm-hmm.
So she had friends there. And even though she was trying to build more friendships here, it just wasn't the same. And what I didn't realize is that through all of those things, there were significant people in her lives that were removed. Like her mother was removed from her life. My grandmother died. She also had dementia.
Mm-hmm.
So it was certain things that was happening during that motion that, we're just living. So we're not understanding exactly what happened to when COVID came, to where you really can sit in and really see and understand. So when you say us as adult children trying to say, okay, this is a safe, no, I don't want you to stay in California because really no one's there. So you come move with us, you stay with us. And now that I see that, wait, hold on. That probably was the best benefit, for her, because she would have been around her friends that she, in the community that, she had created for herself being there in California. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So that kind of gave me, okay, that's another one. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that one. Thank you for that. That's something. Yeah. Yeah, that was something there. Yeah. Guess what? We've come through to the ending of our show. That was quick.
That means it was fun.
Yes. That was so quick. It was really quick. So, Corinne, are there any last words that you want to say? Any advice that you want to give the listeners? Where can they find you at? Your book, everything. But everything that you have to offer, please share it.
Sure. So I have a website. It's my name, CorinneAlma.com. And there you can learn more about me. You can find links for the book. You can also find where the media appearances like this one. And if you want to reach out for any reason, you can do that through the website as well. And my final message would be, look forward to growing older. Think positive thoughts.
I love that. I love that. Embrace it all.
Embrace it all.
Embrace it all. It's such a it's a gift
Mm-hmm.
to age. It's a gift.
There's only one alternative to doing it, and you don't want that one. So, yep.
Yeah. All right, to my beautiful people out there. Again, thank you all for listening today. And again, this has been good. I mean, why I'm like in aha, because every time that I'm on here with the guests, it's always a confirmation for me. It's always a confirmation for me. And it feels so good. It really does. So when we do have talks like this and we go past our 45 minutes or whatever, and I'm like, wow, we're done already. It feels so amazing. So I just want to say thank you so much for just sharing this space with me right here and my listeners, and just sharing this topic right here is always overlooked. Nobody really sit and think about it, and thank you, because it was something that I truly needed in my life right now to hear as well. So again, thank you, Corinne. Thank you. And
welcome.
To our listeners, yes. And to our listeners, remember that each day of our life, it brings our own beauty and opportunities. So let's embrace it. Let's embrace aging, not as a decline, but as a vibrant chapter of growth and discovery. Remember, it's a gift. It's a gift. It's a gift of honor, and it's a blessing. So again, thank you all for tuning in. Until next time, remember, follow us on social media and rate. Give us a rating. Give us a review. I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovering and empowerment here at the Season of Self-Love podcast. Remember, embracing self-love is a continuous journey, and we're so glad to have you with us. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review. And don't forget to join our community on Facebook at Season of Self-Love. Connect with like-minded individuals who are also on their self-love journey. Now, if you have any questions or topics that you'd like for us to explore, We love to hear from you. Email us at seasonofselflove@gmail.com and let your voice be heard. So until next time, take a moment for yourself today and remember, you are worthy of love, joy, and all the beautiful things that life has to offer.